Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihar Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Jaya Radha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunati Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunati Ravanachari Yamunati Ravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Kunja Bihari Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamunati Ravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Bhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya 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 Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Control Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Oh glorious to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Glorious to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Oh glorious to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. Oh glorious lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, I'm sorry that you have to listen to me today and not Parthasarathi Mataji. She's, from now on, she's going to be doing something like full-time work at the school. Something like this, so she's asked if I can take over, unfortunately, for everyone else. But anyway, I'll try and do my best. Okay. What have I heard? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskatyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Uderaya Nastaprayashu Radharishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naishtaki. So, reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Explanation of Devotional Service. Text 14. Saeva bhakti yogakya adyantika udaritaha yanativ rajyatri gunam madbhavayo papadyate Saeva bhakti yogakya atyantika udaritaha yaneti vrajyatri gunam madbhavayo papadyate Saeva bhakti yogakya atyantika udaritaha Yanati vrajyatri gunam madbhavayo papadyate Saeva bhakti yogakya adyantika udaritaha yanati vrajyatri gunam madbhavayo papadyate Saha, this, eva, indeed, bhakti yoga, devotional service, akyaha, called, adyantika, the highest platform, udahritaha, explained, yena, by which, ativrajya, overcoming, trigunam, the three modes of material nature, matbhavaya, to my transcendental stage, upapadyate, one attains. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. By attaining the highest platform of devotional service, as I have explained, one can overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature and be situated in the transcendental stage as is the Lord. Purport. Shripad Shankaracharya, who was supposed to be the leader of the impersonalist school of philosophers, has admitted in the beginning of his comments on Bhagavad Gita that Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation. Except for him, everything is within the material creation. It is also confirmed in the Vedic literature that before the creation there was only Narayana. Neither Lord Brahma nor Lord Shiva existed. Only Narayana, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, or Krishna, is always in the transcendental position, beyond the influence of material creation. The material qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance cannot affect the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is called Nirguna, free from all tinges of material qualities. Here the same fact is confirmed by Lord Kapila. One who is situated in pure devotional service is transcendentally situated, as is the Lord. Just as the Lord is unaffected by the influence of the material modes, so too are his pure devotees. One who is not affected by the three modes of material nature is called a liberated soul, or Brahma-bhuta soul. Brahma-bhuta prasannatma is the stage of liberation. Aham brahmasmi, I am not this body. This is applicable only to the person who constantly engages in the devotional service of Krishna and is thus in the transcendental stage. He is above the influence of the three modes of material nature. It is the misconception of the impersonalists that one can worship any imaginary form of the Lord or Brahman and at the end merge in the Brahman effulgence. Of course, to merge into the bodily effulgence, Brahman, of the Supreme Lord, is also liberation, as explained in the previous verse. Ekatva is also liberation, but that sort of liberation is never accepted by any devotee, for qualitative oneness is immediately attained as soon as one is situated in devotional service. For a devotee, that qualitative equality, which is the result of impersonal liberation, is already attained. He does not have to try for it separately. It is clearly stated here that simply by pure devotional service, one becomes qualitatively as good as the Lord himself. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Vanchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giradhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I thought I'd give like a brief summary of the chapters so far. I've written a whole bunch of notes there because my train of thought tends to go everywhere. So at a certain point, I might go back and back and back, but anyway, I'll do my best. So this chapter began by Devahuti asking Lord Kapila further questions. Does anyone remember what those questions might have been in the beginning?
She asked him what I should do now when you're grown up.
Okay.
What's the point of life?
Yeah, okay. Anything else? More specifically, or? She was asking him for a deeper understanding of devotional service. To begin with, she was asking that, and she was talking about birth and death. If Kapila Dev can describe in more detail about birth and death, eternal time. She was asking about. One thing that was important to note, I think, was her mood in which she was asking the questions, which wasn't necessarily for her own liberation from the material world, but she was asking out of a mood of compassion for all other living entities. And then when it came to the point of Kapila Dev answering the questions, Shukadev Goswami notes the point that Kapila Dev was moved by compassion for Devahuti's mood of compassion. Srila Prabhupada described in the purport that I can't remember the exact words, paraphrasing, but compassion, the Lord is always, let me just go back. He's perpetually compassionate for the living entities in the material world. So he was satisfied with his devotee, also following that similar mood. And Prabhupada quoted the verse in the Bhagavad Gita that no one's as dear to the Lord as one who preaches this message, who tries to liberate fallen souls. So then Kapila Dev went on to describe how devotional service can be executed in different modes of nature. One, he started with ignorance. Does anyone remember any of the qualities of devotional service performed in ignorance? Pride and anger, yeah. Namruchi, does anything come to mind?
Well, I would say like you would get reactions from performing it in ignorance, and that it's better than not performing it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, yeah, envy, pride, violence, aggression, and one who has a separate interest of the Lord was some of the points that were brought up. So, also, he described devotional service in the mode of passion, which was defined by someone who's worshipping the deity, again, but with a separatist kind of mentality, with motivation for material enjoyment, things like fame, prestige, like this type of thing, opulence. And then he goes on to describe devotional service in the mode of goodness, which is devotional service performed without necessarily any motive for material enjoyment, but still with a desire to get free from fruitive results, fruitive activity, get liberation basically. And then we come up to the point of how he's beginning to describe devotional service, and it's in a more pure form, which is kind of like this verse and the previous verse before that, how a devotee doesn't desire anything whatsoever for their own personal interest. Their interest is one with the interest of the Lord, and this is the point of getting free from separate interest. They don't have any other kind of desire other than to please Krishna and to follow his desires. So, even up to the point of liberation, which is kind of unimaginable for us, because, at least for myself, because of, especially when we're put in a situation where we are on the planet at the moment, where there's so much confusion, so much suffering is blatantly in our face, right? So to say that a devotee has no desire even to get free from that, and doesn't really mind even being stuck in the midst of whatever might be happening on the planet right now, is very much beyond my motivation. I certainly want to get it. So it's basically what I'm saying is it's nice to hear about these different motivated types of devotional service, because it allows me to see exactly where I'm at. And when I can see where I'm at, then I know where we can progress from there. It's kind of like a GPS in a car, right? Like the GPS has to know where you are, and then has to know the destination, and then the route can be taken. So it's kind of like Sambandha, Prayojan Tattvagyan, and then Abhidaya Tattvagyan. Who we are, where we are at, what is our relationship with Krishna, the relationship with the material world right now. So it's kind of like Sambandha. And then it's also very important to know what is our goal, what is the end goal of this, our pursuits in devotional service. Because at the same time, yes, Bhakti Yoga is not sectarian, in the sense that, like he's saying here, there's different types of devotional service that are performed by different people with different motives, and it's tainted by different modes of material nature. So we can see that maybe people in different traditions also, like Christianity, Catholicism, whatever it might be, people that are following Islamic tradition, you can see, even within the tradition, not to say that the whole tradition is within the mode of ignorance or passion or whatever, but even you can see within the tradition different types of devotees practicing at different levels. So in one sense, bhakti is one, but in another sense, we have a very specific end goal in this Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. It's not that our end result is going to be the same as someone within the practice of, someone that's practicing in the Christian tradition, or etc., etc. we have a very, very, very specific end result. We're not just aiming at Brahman, we're not just aiming at, focusing our endeavors on being with Narayan, or focusing our endeavors on being with even Lord Ram. And even in a more deeper sense, we're, in terms of what the Sampradaya is trying, this tradition, this lineage is trying to give people, is not even necessarily just Krishna as him, like just Krishna, but we're giving, in the sense of, we might say in a broad sense, God at home, someone that can have a relationship in terms of parent and, child, or friend, be the friend of God, but in the highest sense, even being the lover of God. And Srila Prabhupada many times has said that this is the significance of what Lord Chaitanya has come to give, is that we're not just able to have knowledge of who is God, but we can even become the lover of God. So I think it's very important to not dismiss this point in our attempts to accommodate all traditions. It's very nice, but at the same time to be able to not discredit and not focus or give importance to the gift that is being given in terms of that. So I also, when I was reading this verse today, I was thinking, how is it that we as pure consciousness, who have the potential to be in the same transcendental position as the Lord, as Krishna, who's always transcendental from the modes of material nature, and who we are actually as always being transcendental as spirit souls. The spirit soul isn't ever, in one sense, affected by the modes of material nature. But how is it that we can so be illusioned into thinking that we're part of the material world? How is it that we, as pure consciousness, who are intrinsically full of knowledge, bliss, cognizance, how is it that we can be affected by the modes of material nature, or seemingly illusion, covered by it? So I thought, without getting into the idea about how is it that not the whole, if the jiva fell into the material world or like that, not getting into that kind of whole thing, but at some point in time that is unknown, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings that, what is the song in Adi Karma Phale? What is it? Since time immemorial I've been here, I don't know how long or how I came, but nonetheless I'm here. So anyway, at a certain point, we, to whatever degree, desired to want to play the part of God, meaning that we wanted to be the enjoyer of the fruits of activity. We wanted to be the center of existence. We wanted to forget our minute, tiny, infinitesimal, completely dependent position. So how are we then dependent? If even just reading Bhagavad Gita, we can see how dependent we are on every single level. I can't remember the chapter, I don't know the book so well to even quote chapters or texts, but just in the sense that even whatever strength we might have, physical strength, whatever ability we might have to speak, whatever intelligence we're getting, whatever power of memory, whatever skill, whatever quality, whatever we think we possess is we're borrowing. It's on loan completely from the modes of material nature, which are being empowered by Krishna to act. So everything is coming from Krishna. So we're completely dependent on even my ability to speak right now. It's not that it's coming from me, like I am this great, influential, intelligent person that's being able to, come up with all this philosophy. not even in the slightest, Without Krishna's ability, I can forget all this in a second. I mean, look at people that unfortunately have Alzheimer's or dementia. My grandmother had dementia. She's now left her body, but it was a very interesting, not interesting, it was it's a very horrible position for the embodied person to be in, but to have complete loss of memory and intelligence. It's like, have any of you seen that movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button? No, it's a movie where someone's born as an old man, and they grow into, like, as they're growing, it's like vice versa, the opposite way. So it was like that with her, in the sense that she, in one sense, was becoming very, very childlike, to the point where she, couldn't recognize, the condition of people that have this. So it's very interesting. So to me, that was showing that the intelligence that she had was not necessarily ever hers, and the power for her to be able to do what she was doing and what we're doing now is not our power, and Krishna can take that away at any point, whatever we have. And then Arjuna also saw that after the battle of Kurukshetra, when he was after that, and after after Krishna left, then he was in charge of taking all the queens, and then how they were taken by rogues and thieves. And it's like, who was Arjuna, and what was his strength? He fought with demigods. He fought with Lord Shiva. The demigods asked on behalf of them to fight off demons. It's like he had so much strength. Time and time again, it was every fight that he was in was. I mean, he fought with a Gandharva king with a torch on. When they were first taken away. When they were first after they were the fire, and they were in hiding. And then they were traveling to go and get Draupadi. I think it was at that point. And a Gandharva king came out of the river that was past dusk or something. And they were going across the river, and the Gandharva king, I can't remember his name, Garna Pani, I can't remember, something. He was saying, you can't cross the river right now. This is our time. This is not your time. You can't be in the river. And then they basically fought, and he fought him with like a torch and defeated him with like one celestial weapon. He defeated him, like burnt his chariot to pieces, made him unconscious. And he was like a powerful Gandharva king. That's Arjuna, who had just basically come out of Gurukul, practically speaking. And then him, in comparison to his grandfather, Arjuna's grandfather fought with a Gandharva king for like many, many, many years and ended up being defeated by him. And he was a powerful like king, like he was ruling. So, but even then, so after he was defeated by these rogues and thieves, was saying, certainly it's because Krishna's left. Krishna's chosen. I certainly had no power, but Krishna's chosen to take this away from me. So, so even to forget Krishna, though, even for us to forget Krishna, coming back to this point of that, we wanted to forget him and be the center. Even to forget Krishna, we need his mercy. We can't, because it's practically speaking, it's impossible. Krishna's all around us, and he's supplying everything for us. Everything is, in one sense, Krishna. So we need his mercy to even forget him. So, as it's kind of said in the Ishopanishad, Krishna is like the self-sufficient philosopher that's been fulfilling everyone's desires from time immemorial. So he's been primarily, for us conditioned souls, fulfilling that desire to forget him. So at that point, he creates this kind of matrix for us to become completely entangled in, by time, by the modes of material nature, by their constant flux and our identification of it. It becomes very bewildering for us. By repeated birth and death and identification with these things, very easily we can become illusioned. I mean, even in this, who remembers our last life? And then we're immediately born into a body where we're being glorified, we're being like, made the center of existence, the child. From the very beginning, we're kind of being placed in the center. So, and even someone in a position of knowledge, like Prabhu was saying to me the other day, Nitai Chand Prabhu was saying, you wait until you have a child, and then you look that child in the face, and you're going to be finished. So, and that's not a bad thing. It's good. Like he was saying, it's good to have that kind of attachment and love for the child. It's good. But even in the face of that, so it's so easy, even someone in a position of knowledge, to be covered over, and to, So I was also touching on thinking about the fact how today's society is kind of magnifying. Well, I don't want to say today's society in general, but in many places you can kind of see how people are generally being led to feel this type of independence and no need to acknowledge a higher power or higher laws of nature, in the sense that if we get sick, there's no need to kind of pray to a higher power or accept any type of higher laws of nature. Just go to the hospital, take this medicine, and you can, we can cure you 9 times out of 10. Don't worry about it. We know what we're doing. And also in the sense of food grain and necessities, other necessities. All we need to do is go down to this corner store, go to Pack and Save or whatever, and it's all there right in front of us. We don't have to worry about how the food grains got there, how it was all manufactured, where the materials came from, how the rain supplied it or anything. All we need to do is worry about working, get money, and then go to the shop, and then that's it. Don't worry about it. The only thing we need to worry about, get money. That's it. And then from there, we can supply you all the necessities you need. It's kind of like, reminds me of what Prabhupada said about communist Russia, when the innocent Christians would say like, not innocent Christians, but it's like they would say, God, give us our daily bread. So again, this is bhakti yoga tinged with different modes of material nature. We want something in return for our devotional service. So God, give us our daily bread. So then the communists would say, they would take away all the supply of bread, and then they'd say, okay, go to your church and pray to your God, give us daily bread. And then they would go in and pray, give us our daily bread, and then they'd come out. So did your God give you your daily bread? No. Oh, okay, we can give you your daily bread. So where is your God? Who is your God? Where is he now? But then Prabhupada would say, these fools, they don't even understand that who was the communist getting the bread from in the first place? So it's like, I mean, he can say like that, I can't say like that, but at the same time we can't acknowledge the point that, okay, these people are supplying us with medicine in hospitals, and they're supplying us with food and Pack and Save and whatever, but where is all of this coming from? Where are all of our necessities of life coming from? So, again, it's coming from the mercy of Krishna. It's coming from, ultimately, the mercy of Krishna. He's supplying everything through his different agents, everything. So, we can practically kind of see the effects of this not acknowledging a higher power now through what's happening with this COVID and different things, because we're faced with a system that is saying you can completely depend on us and we'll like supply your necessities and we've got your back, But then we're faced where they can't do that. We're faced in a situation where hundreds of thousands of people are dying, and there's no immediate answer for it. There's no idea of what's really happening, apart from the fact that there's some virus that's going around that's, causing many people to get sick. And there's no immediate answer to it. There's no idea of when there's going to be a vaccine, a safe vaccine, or like that. So everyone's panicking, or at least now things are kind of slowing down, because in New Zealand everything's fine. We don't have to worry about so much, but in other countries it's very heavy, especially India. My God, it's going up day by day. Everything's very heavy. So because we're allured into thinking that we can be independent of the Lord and we're not fully dependent or we're not led to acknowledge a higher power at all. Therefore, this is kind of even more so terrifying. For devotees, it's a little different, because we can acknowledge that even if there is a virus, and even if I want to be killed, even if I don't want to be killed, if it's the will of the Lord, and He is my dearest friend, and He knows what's best for me, and He has my eternal benefit in mind, then we can have at least some kind of detachment from it. Even if it's not fully, we're not fully faithful in that, there can be some kind of sense of detachment which can bring peace. But others might be led to believe that, okay, even if you say that there is a God, then why would He make this happen? Why would He want us to suffer? Why would He want a virus to be here? Why would He cause hundreds of thousands of people to die? Why would He not supply us food? Why would He, etc., etc.? But it's important to understand then what is the will of God, in one sense. So it's not that He wants us to suffer, or He wants us to die birth after birth from a virus, and or many different types of ways we can die. He wants us to be eternally happy. He wants us to come to His position of happiness, like it's saying in this verse, above the three modes of material nature. Situated beyond birth and death, beyond samsara, all these things. So this kind of entails for us to come to that position, whether we're in Satya Yuga, Treta, Dvapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, whatever yuga we might be being in, then to come to that position, he needs to somehow, or his devotees need to somehow, or material nature somehow need to break this deep-rooted conception of I am the center of existence, the world revolves around me, and everything is meant for my enjoyment. Therefore, material nature, material modes being in flux will kind of bring about a situation where this conception will be broken to one degree or another, or it will be gradually chipped away at through life by different ways, either old age, slowly becoming old, or different relationships being unfulfilling, or somehow or other getting diseased, or these different things, birth, death, disease, old age, these things kind of coming to the forefront of our consciousness, that just look at what's happening to you. You want to be the center, you want to be the enjoyer, but if that's the case, why are these things happening? So it's not that God is like vindicative or narcissistic, or he's like a torturous person, or anything like that. But when these things happen to us by the arrangement of material nature, an intelligent person should come to the conclusion, like Prabhupada has said, that hold on, if I'm the center, why is this happening to me? Why I am suffering? So the train of thought should be something like, okay, why am I suffering? Does that mean I'm doing something wrong? And the foundation of why I'm acting is based on who I think I am. So does that mean that who I think I am, who am I then? Intrinsically, who am I? So this is kind of like a blessing of Kali Yuga, that all these things, our plans, our health, our relationships, everything is being bewildered, like it's being, our expectation is being brought short constantly, always being shaken up, always being pulled away. Can we deny that? Can we deny that it's being frustrated at almost every moment? So there's not really, it's kind of being brought to the forefront of our consciousness that there's not really any shelter in this type of mentality. At least philosophically speaking, we could have like for myself, I might say, yeah, it makes philosophical sense, but still at the same time, I endeavor many times to be the center and to try and control and enjoy and exploit the material world in so many ways. So then it will come to the point of, then if I'm in this consciousness, then what should I do? And then Krishna describes, then you should ultimately engage in devotional service. And then we're hearing how to do that without any motivation. So we're getting like a description from God at the same time of how we can get free from the suffering in the quickest way, and how we can very easily get free from this material world and all the suffering that it entails. There were other things I wanted to talk about today, but I think the main thing, just to kind of sum it up, is that we are completely dependent on Krishna even to be an illusion, and we're completely dependent on him for all our abilities now, and to a certain extent also we're very, very much dependent on him to even get out of the material world. His mercy is that he gives us sadhu sangha, he gives us, he's come in the form of the Bhagavatam, he's constantly giving us instruction on how to get out of it, but just as it was our desire to get into it, and then by his mercy he covered us over, ultimately it's dependent on our desire to get out, and by our desire, then by his mercy, he'll equally give the amount of whatever is needed to get out. But ultimately it's down to our desire, and through that primarily he'll give us sadhu sangha, like he says, Brahmanda Brahmite Koni Bhagavan Jeev. So like birth after birth, so many births in the material world, but by his mercy he'll send us sadhu sangha. And I was just reading the other day also by Mamu Thakur, he was saying that we have so many prejudices in our consciousness, birth after birth, and through no endeavor by our own selves can we actually break these prejudices. Even up to the point of suicide, we can't actually release ourselves from these prejudices. But he said the only way to get free from prejudice is sadhu sangha. So it's very important to seek out and understand how to interact with different devotees on different levels, and seek out higher association and with humility, and try and serve those devotees. So yeah, I'll end here. And does anyone have any points that they want to discuss on what I've said today, or corrections or questions or anything? Yes, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
For your sacrifice today. I'm just also reflecting while you were saying that due to our selfishness, we tend to think in our conditioned nature, I am the center of the universe. And that is the very formula for disaster, right? And our envy to Krishna is because of that, we want to be like Krishna, to be the center. So then I just remember also in the 11th canto, Krishna was explaining to Shiva. And there are very beautiful like stories or analogies that Krishna gave to Shiva, right? And then there was one point that he said, just like the honeybee, don't be like the honeybee who's like working very hard to get all the nectar, thinking that it's for his benefit. But by nature, the honeybee is taking all the nectar for someone else, not for themselves, like that. So, and of course we see in nature that, like the cow is producing milk, but not for herself. Yeah, and so there are many examples. So the nature of pure devotional service is giving, is always giving.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing more attractive than seeing like a pure devotee and how they interact with people, right? Because it's like so much devoid of that and so much love in there, all their dealings and words and everything. It's like everything we're looking for is there. Yeah, it's so it kind of reminded me of what you're saying also about, again, I don't know the verse, but what is it describing how the associates of Lord Chaitanya, like what is it? Lord Chaitanya broke open the storehouse of love of God, and the associates of Lord Chaitanya are giving and giving, and no matter how much they give, it's always being refilled and replenished like that. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
also in the Bible, Jesus also mentioned that. He said in a parable something like, if you lose yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you find it. But if you keep yourself, become so self-centered, then you lose yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
If you, sorry, what was that? Can you say that again?
He said something that if you lose yourself in service, like if you serve others,
Oh,
then you
okay.
find yourself. But if we become selfish, just convenient, become greedy and like that, we lose it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very nice.
I think that Christianity has so much things that we have as well.
Yeah, for sure.
There,
Yeah.
and they have all these amazing philosophy that we have as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have to be really careful because the biggest offense is committing an offense to devotees.
Yeah.
And in a way, Christians and all these other religions are devotees of Krishna. And we shouldn't talk badly about them.
Yeah.
The only thing that we can talk badly about is the meat eating. But other than that, they're devotees. They're serving God. They're preaching.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, it's a very good point. Yeah. Of course, it's offense to the holy name also to blaspheme Vedic literature and pursuance of the Vedic version. I mean, yeah, I think like. Yeah, we should become very much acquainted with our process and all the steps along our path that we're taking. Because 100% definitely, it's whatever is being said in the Bible and the Quran is aiming at God consciousness for sure, 100%. And they're all devotees, but like Kapila is saying, there's devotees in the mode of passion and ignorance. And Prabhupada even says in the purport, in the mode of ignorance, that, and that text he says that definitely 100% we should offer respects to these people, they're Vaishnavas, but at the same time we should avoid their association. So there's the acknowledgement and the discrimination is there. And definitely they're devotees of God. Whether they're devotees of Krishna may be questionable, like as we understand, like I was trying to say, it's like my point when I was saying in the beginning is that our end destination is very unique and very exact.
They have some idea about it, though.
Yeah, definitely, 100%, 100%, yeah.
And
Yeah.
also practicing in the mode of passion and ignorance.
Yeah.
We are also doing that.
Yeah,
also
definitely.
Passion, eating chilies.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're
Mounds of halava with ghee and sugar and yeah, Krishna. Yeah.
the other day about can Prashadam be in the mode of passion and can it be in the mode of passion and ignorance? And he said yes, it can be.
Yeah.
If you offer a whole load of sugar and a whole load of spices, it's in the mode of passion.
Yeah.
Prashadam.
Yeah, I was speaking with someone the other day also about, they were saying, I don't know if I want to give up chocolate. Maybe I shouldn't say this on camera. But they were like, I don't know if I want to give up chocolate. And they were saying, it was on some kind of social media, and they were saying, should I give it up? What are the reasons for and against? And the main thing devotees were saying is that it's because it's rajasic and it's increasing this passion and, there's so much sensuous enjoyment. And then I was just thinking like your exact point, but what about all the prasadam that's like to the teeth with chili, and you know the halava that's swimming in ghee and sugar, and you know the sweet rice that's like, you know, 5% sweet rice and 95% sugar, and you know, like what about all of that, you know? Yeah, it's I think Bhakti Vijayapurna Maharaj brings up the point that when we practice devotional service, we come in contact with Sattva Gun a lot, and even just doing the morning program and everything like that, it's very Brahmanical. So he says even the tendency can be that our perception becomes very refined. We can see a lot of things, but if we don't turn that in on ourselves, without being too self-critical and like becoming depressed then, but he says if we don't end up being more self-reflective, naturally we'll go outside, because we have this idea to perceive these things. So if we don't become more, turn it inwards, we'll turn it outside and then start, you know, this devotee's doing that and that one's doing that and they're doing like that in that tradition, they're doing like that and it's horrible there and horrible there and there and there, and why they should be doing like that and like that. So yeah, it's hard not to criticize or think what I'm doing is so good, you know. Yeah.
So we have to look at what level we're at before we criticize. And when Prabhupada criticized the atheists and Christians, he's on a higher level than us. We're not normally qualified to criticize everyone like that.
That's true. Yeah, many times you would say, right, I'm old man, I can do like this, but okay. Gandharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. And Tagore